Hello, Zodiac files out there. Welcome to the 14th episode in our video series. I'm Dr. David Van Nuys, co-author with Michael Kelleher of the book This is the Zodiac Speaking Into the Mind of a Serial Killer. And by now, I'm going to assume you've seen my previous 13 YouTube installments. I appreciate the comments that a number of you have posted. There's some very astute viewers out there with excellent conclusions and theories of your own. I thought I'd wear my shrink wrap radio hat today, and as much as one person has complained about my hair a couple of times, comparing me to a disheveled Nick Nolte. Hey, I'm 67 years old, and this is what I look like on a webcam with bad lighting, okay? Now, at this point in the account, I've gone over all the letters received immediately after the 7 documented attacks, and in the book with Michael Kelleher, I paused at this point to summarize the overall impression I had formed thus far. So here's what I wrote then. One has to wonder about the kind of employment that Zodiac might have had, since his victims were claimed on weekends and holiday evenings. This would suggest that he held a conventional day job. Other elements in his letters suggest to me that he had a permanent domicile of some sort, rather than being a drifter. Clearly, he had an automobile. Also, Zodiac was able to purchase guns, ammunition, knives, and presumably equipment for making bombs. So it's reasonable to assume that he had some sort of reliable income. He's been described as a stocky individual, so it would seem like Zodiac is large enough and fit enough that he could do physical labor. If his spelling errors were genuine, and I believe that they were, it's unlikely that he would have held a desk job. My impression of Zodiac the writer is that he was not only lonely but also a loner. I would expect that whatever work he did would have been mostly solitary, not involving a lot of interaction with others. He might have been able to put a certain amount of a social facade on, perhaps even charm for short periods, but I suspect he would have found it taxing to be around others for very long. The reason I suspect he was able to be socially engaging when he needed or wanted to be is the interaction that he's described to have had with the couple on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa. That's Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Ann Shepard. Before stabbing them so viciously, according to the account of his crime, the male victim, Brian Hartnell, said that he didn't begin to get exceptionally nervous until the attacker drew his bayonet. He had this reaction despite the fact that Zodiac emerged out of a hidden area with a gun drawn, a knife in his belt, and a hood over his face. The attacker's conversational pattern, and probably a good measure of desperate hope on the part of the two victims, somehow soothed the couple into believing that they were not in desperate danger. They thought they were going to get out of this. Therefore, one might assume some verbal or social facility or charm on the part of the attacker. However, I also believe that he was too full of rage, too brittle, too volatile, and too immature to sustain long-term social relationships. Based on the uncontroversial facts of the case, along with what I've analyzed in his letters so far, my impression is that Zodiac had a reliable income, but that he was not particularly affluent. If I had to make a guess, I would suspect that he was a blue-collar worker of some sort, perhaps in a technical area, such as a television repairman, telephone installer, or perhaps someone who operated equipment on a shop floor. A janitor or a night watchman or guard are other possibilities that come to mind. I would also suspect that he had neither a wife nor children. Here's another thought, although a bit out of context. Imagine what Zodiac's school life would have been like if he really was as dyslexic as he appears to be from his letters. I could imagine him being taunted as a child, feeling frustrated, knowing that he was brighter than he was able to express, and vowing revenge. It probably takes much more than this to produce a serial killer of his magnitude, but it could be one of the factors that made Zodiac so disposed to the horrible violence that he committed. Now, one person who takes exception to my analysis of Zodiac's verbal capabilities is Doug Oswell, who I'll mention in just a moment. So please watch for subsequent episodes in which I'll continue to move through the Zodiac material. And be sure to listen to my interview with Doug Oswell on his book, The Unabomber and the Zodiac, which I just posted as show number 99 on my podcast series, Shrink Wrap Radio. You can see it right here on the hat. Shrink Wrap Radio at www.shrinkwrapradio.com. So until next time,